Hi, my name is Jill Golden, and this is for my ESL 440 class and my Week 5 assignment, all about home and school connections. And this is a topic that I'm especially interested in because I have found in my own personal journey of school that I've kept it very compartmentalized in that I learn what I do at school and I go home and that's a totally separate part of my life. But it's really important to start at a very young age in elementary school and help students become acclimated to connecting their home life to their school life. Specifically with English language learners, and this week we've been talking a lot about cultural influences. I wanted to talk about those influences, cultural competence, and social emotional needs of English language learners in teaching and learning, and also how this can connect to home. Cultural competence includes internal and external factors. Culture, structures, and perceptions, they shape the behavior of each student and influence behavior and help provide identity. And so if you're able to understand what cultural competence is, you can really find that it is what a student's identity is. And with that in mind, I wanted to talk about the influences of culture. According to our textbook of Echevarria 2014, student achievements are influenced on a student's background and the factors such as poverty, language, and minority status. Those are just some of the few things that influence culture, specifically with English language learners, that help us to understand what is the home life, what is a person's culture, and then how does that relate to their time in school. Social emotional factors, again, according to our textbook of Echevarria 2014, are focusing on relevant background knowledge and cultural connections, actively involve learners, they use alternate grouping strategies, provide native language support, and focus on content and activities that are meaningful to students both emotionally and culturally. So with this in mind, I feel like you have a really good baseline for understanding the differences in where a student can come from, what their influences are, and then how does that affect them when they're in the classroom. It's almost like a path segueing into that. I wanted to talk about intentional strategies for family and community engagement that support and highlight assets of home language, communication, family involvement, and culture to build family community and partnering that with the school. The biggest thing I want to focus on, because that's a very big question, is this partnership. It says holding of hands between home and school. According to the resource cited of Serving in 2023, in addition to best practices that can be applied throughout the school building, the guide includes at least one teacher leadership spotlight in every section. These spotlights draw attention to ways in which teachers can take action outside of the classroom to ensure English language learners, students, and their families enjoy welcoming and equitable experiences at school. This is a beautiful thing that we can have in that these teachers are given resources and are involved in programs that, like I said, have this partnership between home and school. I wanted to talk about inclusive school and classroom environment, taking into consideration the language acquisition and key environmental factors such as family, community practices, and the role of culture. Everybody's family, their community practice, and what's more, their culture is different. You can be in similar groupings, but ultimately it's very unique. And so you can't just lump all of these students into one pool and expect them to fit the mold of what that is. I think it's important to be a reflective practitioner, to have formative and summative assessments to find strengths and weaknesses, and to provide all students the opportunity to showcase their talents and cultures throughout the assignments that you supply, and give them a chance to showcase and exhibit their uniqueness in the classroom. And this is from Serving in 2023 is what I cite that with. I just find that it is so pivotal and so important to, like I said, focus on what is this. This is a partnership between school and home, and then also know that there's uniqueness in culture and uniqueness in each student that we are dealing with. As one teacher, I wanted to talk about the role, as a future teacher, I wanted to talk about the role of family and community practices that influence language learning by sharing what I know of the subject, and that is the in-person observations and work I've done in the classroom have shown me that there's been a student who is bilingual, there is a student who is coming from a Spanish-only speaking family, and then there's a student who has some knowledge of the language but is primarily an English speaker, and they're all in one reading group. And so you could say, oh, well, they're all of the same reading level, but every single student is different and they have different uniquenesses and different strengths and weaknesses and all of that. So it's just very important to note that when teaching and when working with these students. Thank you for listening.